A vehicle rammed into a crowd of people waiting to enter a nightclub along a busy boulevard in Los Angeles early Saturday, injuring 30 people. According to Associated Press, victims were transported to local hospitals and trauma centers, according to Captain Adam Van Gerpen, Public Information Officer for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. At least 3 were in critical condition after being injured along Santa Monica Boulevard in East Hollywood, the fire department said in a statement. Van Gerpen told ABC that a line of people, the majority female, were waiting to enter a nightclub when they were struck by a vehicle that also hit a taco truck and valet stand. Paramedics discovered that one of the patients had a gunshot wound, Van Gerpen said. People inside the club came out to help in the minutes before emergency crews arrived, he said, to help the victims. They were all standing in line going into a nightclub. There was a taco cart out there, so they were getting some food, waiting to go in. And there's also a valet line there, he said. The valet podium was taken out, the taco truck was taken out, and then a large number of people were impacted by the vehicle.
Put a big old plastic cap on top of his house, which is basically a bunch of chain link lines kind of like wired together. This morning at 2 a.m. in Los Angeles, our firefighters were dispatched out to a traffic accident. On arrival, they found a large group of people standing outside of a club. There's a taco truck there, and apparently a vehicle had driven through the taco truck, through the valet, and into the crowd. So when our firefighters arrived on scene, they quickly called for additional resources. So we had a total of 124 firefighters were here on scene. There's about 25 LAPD officers that came out to assist us. So the scene when they arrived was very chaotic. Ultimately, there ended up being a total of 30 patients. So out of those 30 patients, 7 of them were critical, what we call immediate. 6 of them were delayed, and then another 10 were transported in minor condition. So out of that, we also had another 7 that were minor that signed out. So a total of 30 patients. We quickly triaged them. We had tarps set up. We had an ambulance staging area. So for all of our resources coming in, we were able to triage based on their injuries and rapidly get them transported. As part of our triage, when the paramedics were loading up one of the patients that was considered immediate, they were on their secondary inspection of him. They did find that there was a gunshot wound. So yeah, reports are that it's the driver. We haven't confirmed that yet, but yeah, one of our paramedics, when they got the patient in the ambulance, started doing a secondary assessment. They did find a gunshot wound. We don't have all the ages yet, but the majority of them were female that were standing in line. So they were all standing in line going into a nightclub. There was a taco cart out there, so they were getting some food, waiting to go in, and there's also a valet line there. So the valet podium was taken out, the taco truck was taken out, and then a large number of people were impacted by the vehicle. And then we used these Hudson sprayers with diesel in there, and so they sprayed diesel all through there.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Friday that the latest European Union sanctions package was part of the bloc's consistent anti-Russian stance. According to Associated Press during a conference call with journalists, he added that Russia considered such unilateral restrictions unlawful. Earlier in the day, the EU approved a new raft of sanctions against Russia over its conflict in Ukraine, including a lower oil price cap, a ban on transactions with Nord Stream gas pipelines, and the targeting of more Shadow Fleet ships. The 27 EU member countries decided to set the oil price per barrel at just under $48, down from a previous cap of $60. Oil income is the linchpin of Russia's economy, allowing President Vladimir Putin to pour money into the armed forces without worsening inflation for everyday people and avoiding a currency collapse. A new import ban was also imposed in an attempt to close a loophole allowing Russia to indirectly export crude oil via a number of non-EU countries.
последовательную антироссийскую линию Европы. Мы неоднократно говорили, что мы считаем подобные односторонние ограничения незаконными. Мы выступаем против них. Но вместе с тем, конечно же, мы уже от санкций обрели определенный иммунитет. Мы адаптировались к жизни в условиях санкций. Безусловно, предстоит проанализировать новый пакет с тем, чтобы минимизировать его последствия. Но, кроме того, каждый новый пакет добавляет негативного эффекта для самих тех стран, которые к нему присоединяются. Это оружие обоюдоострое. Это позитивный сигнал, и здесь мы абсолютно согласны. Действительно, мы тоже являемся сторонниками того, чтобы добавить динамики переговорному процессу.
During Putin's visit of the Magnitogorsk iron and steel works, workers were given clear instructions on what they could and could not ask him about. According to a report by Kremlin journalist Andrei Kolesnikov, the discussion of possible questions took place under the supervision of the Kremlin's censor controller. The agency writes about this when one of the workers suggested asking Putin about the central bank's key rate, which is killing the Russian economy. He was immediately told it was inappropriate. The worker, in his words, sighed dejectedly. The question did not pass moderation. Instead of current topics, there were questions about childhood, Sambo, and impressions of the city. These were considered correct for the format of the visit. Only the worker who suggested asking how the president had fun as a child received approval. Here, a wonderful question, the curator said. Preparations for the meeting with the president resembled a theatrical rehearsal. Workers were lined up and asked to greet Vladimir Vladimirovich in chorus cheerfully. Those who went off script were gently but firmly pointed out their mistake. When a journalist asked whether the workers were going to ask Putin about possible secondary US sanctions, one of them responded with disarming directness. That's true, and I agree that this is the most interesting thing. But do we have the right to raise the pressure on the president? Putin's visit to Magnitogorsk was yet another reminder of how Russia is run today, manually and without surprises. No tough questions, no discussions of real problems. Everything is according to an agreed-upon scenario. Recall the high key rate of the Central Bank of Russia sharply increased the cost of borrowed money. As a result, enterprises are forced to curtail business development, and citizens are deprived of the opportunity to buy apartments and cars on credit. This is the price that citizens and businesses pay for the war that fueled inflation. The rejected question of the worker indicates the reluctance to draw additional attention to this topic. The president arrived in Magnitogorsk on Wednesday. He visited MMK and the local park, Prityazheny, took part in the opening of a new section of the M12 highway and also met with Chelyabinsk Governor Alexei Texler. During the passage of Putin's motorcade, trams were stopped in the city.